Well, first, thank you for spending time out of your day to join this virtual community workshop on the future of Tucson. Today, I will introduce the core team working on this project, provide an overview of what Plan Tucson is, the timeline for this project, and share how this workshop will be conducted. Next slide. The Plan Tucson core team is composed of myself, Jasmine Chan. I'm the project manager. My colleagues, Amanda Smith, lead planner, Ian Wan, planner, as primary points of contact at the City of Tucson Planning and Development Services Department. And we are joined by two consultant teams, Southwest Decision Resources. Tawny Robertson is here with us today, as well as Maria Mata. And the second consultant team is Gordley Group. As with any project, our team goes far, far beyond just us as the 6 names that you've heard just now. We owe deep thanks to our coworkers at the City of Tucson, Tucson's mayor and council, and most of all, you, our Tucson community. So, what is Plan Tucson? Plan Tucson is the city's general and sustainability plan. It's a state mandated document that needs to be updated every 10 years. Plan Tucson was voter ratified in 2013 and has been the guiding document to move Tucson towards a sustainable and thriving place. Developed over the course of 2.5 years, Plan Tucson 2013 held 64 public meetings, 5 public hearings with Planning Commission, 1 public hearing with Mayor and Council, and 1 special election. 10 years already have passed since voter ratification, and it's time now to update Plan Tucson. So our timeline for updating Plan Tucson. The Plan Tucson update started with many other planning initiatives. And if you could advance to the next slide. Thank you. Many of you in the room were and are instrumental to the development and implementation of these plans. To get a sense of who is sharing the room with us today, we have a quick poll, Zoom poll, about other city processes you've been involved with in the past. And if this is your first time, thank you very much for joining us. It is our goal to make this worth your while. So I think Tawny is launching the poll now. We've got quite a few answering who are new to planning. So that's very exciting. Thanks for joining us. We got quite a few who were involved with the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. Very excited that that was just adopted last night formally by Mayor and Council. Congratulations. Move Tucson. Wonderful. Got just a handful more, so I'll give it a couple seconds and then we can end the poll here. So a lot of varied participation across many different activities across the city. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you for providing a rich basis for Plan Tucson update. We will continue to work together to ensure our recent and concurrent plans support one another. That's both across our kind of staff perspective, but then also with community members and community organizations that have been involved with previous and current processes as well. So the timeline for Plan Tucson, this update is think, well, we are right at the beginning. So Ian, if you hit next, we can get that indicator of where we're at. We're right in that first column here, community listening and discovery. This is going to take place through June of 2023. The question here is really about, what are your visions for Tucson's future? Our phase 2 in the purple column extends from summer this year, 2023, until summer of 2024. One of the major questions during this phase is how and where should the city grow and change? The goal of this phase, or the end goal of this phase, is a preliminary draft of Plan Tucson. Phase 3, the yellow column, is review and refinement of the preliminary draft. This starts in the summer of 2024 and extends until spring of 2025. The primary question here is, do the goals and policies align with other recent plans, investments, and city initiatives? The outcome of this phase is adoption by mayor and council and document readiness for special election in November of 2025. Phase 4, inform and educate, shares information about what the policies and goals are that are included in Plan Tucson and how Plan Tucson will be used. Phase 4 culminates in the special election on November 2025, where Tucson's voters decide whether to ratify Plan Tucson update or not. Are there any questions now before I move to sharing how this workshop will proceed? You can drop your questions into the chat as well if they come up. Okay, I will proceed to talking about the workshop. So what are we doing during the workshop this morning? So our goals here are to learn your visions, desires, and concerns for the city, understand the interconnectedness of key topics, and to encourage your participation in the Plan Tucson process. The agenda for the workshop will be a introduction to what all the discussion topics are. We have 8 topics. We have also working agreements so that we all kind of come with the same set of rules as it relates to how we'll approach one another during these discussions. And then we'll have 2 roundtable discussions where you as a participant get to decide which topic you would like to discuss for each of those rounds. The discussion topics are arts, culture, parks, recreation, community safety, public health, water, habitat, climate, economic development, neighborhoods and housing, transportation, policy and governance, and other. Others also known as what else? What are we missing here from this set of discussion topics? All of these topics, they frequently overlap and include considerations regarding equity and how decisions are made. So we fully understand that there are a lot of interconnectedness between each of these and really welcome your perspectives on how those different topics are interconnected. So do not hesitate to bring that up during the discussion groups. We have, before we get to working agreements, we've got a second Zoom poll. So as we all get ready to kind of select which discussion groups we're going into, we want to ask you, which topics are you interested in, to help you kind of think about where you want to spend part of your morning this morning. Quite a few in neighborhoods and housing, community safety, public health, policy, government. Okay. Quite a few in neighborhoods and housing. So one thing to note is that we do have 2 rounds for discussion. So if you're in a breakout room and you see there's quite a few people there and you have time to join for the second round of discussions, go to your second topic and then come back to that first topic for the second round. This way we can make sure all the folks in that breakout room are getting a chance to share, and that you can also get the opportunity to hear from everybody that you're sharing that breakout room with and their perspectives. Okay. Cool. Thank you for participating in that poll. I'm going to go to our working agreements now. So we are all coming to this conversation with different experiences from our professional lives and our personal lives. Please adhere to these working agreements throughout the discussions this morning, and to maintain a space where each of us feels safe to share our thoughts and our ideas. These working agreements are: listen openly and for understanding, speak honestly and constructively, treat each other with respect, all perspectives are legitimate, minimize distractions from your devices or multitasking, etc., and refrain from acronyms and jargon. So I know it's easy for the jargon and the acronyms to slip out. If someone asks you what that means, please do explain what you are referring to, so all the folks in the room can kind of follow along with where your perspective is coming from. Okay. And with that, how we're going to do things, I think, Tani, if you'd be able to explain to our participants that how they're going to select their breakout rooms. We can stop the screen share.
Yeah, so nice to see so many people here today. The breakout rooms, again, there's 8 rooms and you're going to pick one. So as soon as I open the rooms, then you're going to be able to choose, there'll be 8 topics listed, and you kind of scoot to the right, and then there's a place to join a room. And so you might have to fiddle with it if you haven't done this before. We'll be staying right here in the big room so that we can help you if you have any problems. And then after about 40 minutes, we're going to be giving you, telling you now it's time to go to your second room. And so again, do that same thing, and you can just choose a different room to go to. You're not going to need to come back to this main room. And as Jasmine said, if you go into a room and there's too many people, just you have the power to manage it yourself where you're going. And don't hesitate to ask us any questions. So I'm going to open these rooms. There will be 2 people from our team in each room to walk you through what you're going to be doing.
Kind of integration between various art, culture, our parks, kind of those different priorities that the city has, whether it be transportation, housing, parks, arts and culture, and making sure that those are being integrated and thought of in every project kind of that the city goes through. And again, just making sure that we're prioritizing open space. There was discussion about how a lot of our parks kind of focus more on the recreation aspect, and how that there should be more focus on just promoting general open space within our city limits, and those more passive recreation, whether it be walking, birding, and things like that. And making sure that, again, there's more localized or place-based opportunities for parks and recreation between different neighborhoods that are easy to get to.
Cool. Thanks, Lena, and thanks for the Arts, Culture, Parks, Recreation group. Moving next to Acacia or Ian.
Sure. Yeah, we had 2 rounds of discussion, and from what people liked in Tucson about community safety and public health was a feeling of a sense of community, And that through in our community events like festivals citywide. There's the acknowledgement of more city and county collaboration, and that is positive. From things that people were concerned about or wanted to see change. There were thoughts about how safety covers a bunch of things, from illnesses to traffic safety to personal safety, and a lot of focus on resources, whether they're available or just not being connected to the right people or right groups, how to reframe that access. And a lot of the suggestions for what to change really revolved around collaboration, seeing more groups interacting, because so many problems touch so many different areas and need a lot of different perspectives to address.
Oh, thanks, Acacia, and the community safety and public health groups. Next, going to Alex or Corin from Water Habitat Climate.
Sure. So we actually did have 2 sessions, gravitating towards router habitat and climate. Both sessions really focused on basic access to water and the sustainability of it, making sure we provide ample access for habitats for native animals, as well as communities working together to address climate claims in our community. And on that end, just providing different means of affordable energy that's sufficient and safe and clean forward. For the next question, as far as what we're concerned about and like to change, I think a big one was trying to get solar in as many areas as possible to increase equity, making sure it's affordable for everyone, from private residences to businesses and so on and so forth. Providing more shade opportunities for bike paths and sidewalks, bus stops, in addition to making sure we have more trash cans available at bus stops. That was an interesting and very intriguing comment too. Also providing more recycling opportunities, making it an easy basis for people in all communities to get involved, large or small, reducing food waste and collecting compostable items. And our next question, as far as what ideas we have for the future, is getting rid of unhealthy fossil fuels as much as possible, revising landscape ordinances to be in line with the GSI policy, more protected bike lanes, training city workers and public on invasive plants versus helpful native plants in GSI basins, and getting a strong and effective approach to extreme heat protection and heat illness prevention for outdoor workers as well.
Okay. Thank you, Alex, and thank you to the, or not economic development, that's next, the water habitat and climate groups. So moving now to Monica and Carver with economic development group.
All right, I can go ahead and take this one. We had 2 groups, both relatively small, but I think that really helped us to get some good participation. In terms of the themes of what people liked, they liked the diversity of small businesses within the city. They liked the ability for startups and co-working spaces within the city, the educated workforce that is available here, and the Thrive initiatives that are being rolled out or have been rolled out. In terms of concerns, we did hear a lot from both groups. Concerns about equity, economic equity within the city, concerns that Tucson is not perceived as being business friendly, There's fear of change associated with neighborhoods and neighborhood associations, which sometimes can make economic development very difficult. We talked some about the climate action plan and the concept of the 15-minute city that is being integrated. It has been integrated into that plan. And there's concern that that's not really feasible with current zoning, particularly around schools. There's also discussion of water demands for industrial development. Concerns that there's not a diverse economy overall. There's diversity within small businesses, but not a lot of diversity within major sectors within the economy. Also, PTSD was viewed as an impediment to development, particularly with the backlog and the time that it takes to get some permits processed. The adage, time is money when somebody is sitting on something for an extended period. There's also some additional discussion about the climate action plan's effect on land use decisions and consistency between Plan Tucson and also the neighborhood and area plans that exist, and how that is all going to work when land use decisions are being made. And from the private sector, there are real concerns about how do they know what is going to get approved when you start seeing all of these documents out there that seem to conflict with one another. We also talked about kind of a larger philosophical issue of the city of Tucson and what Tucson wants to be, because there's this kind of push between an urban environment and a suburban environment, and people tend to kind of want both, just one environment where they are and another environment nearby. So I think that that's kind of a larger identity issue that is worth noting and maybe looking into a little bit more. For future themes, mentioned expanding Rio Nuevo, expanding the streetcar, more research institutions and research funding. People would love to see more green jobs and green energy, and also more flexible zoning and more flexible mix of land uses with zoning and more denser zoning in certain areas. That's what we have. I don't know, Monica, if you have anything else to add.
That was amazing. Thank you, Carter.
Okay, thank you, Carver, and to the economic development groups. Next, we're going to go to Amanda and Maria from neighborhoods and housing. We do only have a few minutes to finish up, so we've got 3 more groups to go.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, we had 2 groups of things that we like about our current communities is, well, a community, all the opportunities to connect with neighbors, infrastructure, including just like biking and walking and access to local things, the uniqueness of our communities, and open space and the nature amongst in the neighborhoods and adjacent to the neighborhoods. Concerns that we have were oriented around affordable housing, a variety of housing options, supply, protecting our community from things like eviction or supporting to our unhoused, maintaining green spaces and just vegetation throughout the communities, and then also maintaining the neighborhood integrity and the concerns around gentrification, as well as development that respects the neighborhood aesthetics and identity. And then a couple of other concerns as well related to like inner neighborhood dynamics, noise pollution, and sidewalk access. And then ideas for the future, there were some policy suggestions, a lot of support affordable housing, addressing parking, improving safety, better education about what services are out there, and then why some solutions are solutions instead of more problems, and rent control, a lot of support for community engagement, making sure that we're listening to solutions from the ground up and maintaining opportunities for people to get involved, not just in Plan Tucson, but citywide. That's my quick summary. Thank you.
Thanks,
both
Amanda.
groups. It was fun.
Thanks to neighborhoods and housing groups. Moving to Ina and Nathan from transportation and mobility.
Yeah, hi Jasmine, I can go on this one. So we had two groups, a lot of good feedback, especially on the things we'd like to change, a lot of detailed feedback actually. So it was great to see. I'll start off with things we like. A lot of participants hit on the loop and the bicycle infrastructure of Tucson, and the connectivity of that bicycle infrastructure. They liked efforts to be inclusive of multimodal transportation options, green stormwater infrastructure in some neighborhoods, help mitigate flooding on streets. Free transit is a big one. And then citizen oversight committees and dedicated funding for street repair and improvements, and the walkability of the downtown area. Okay, things that we want to see change or bus frequency came up. The reliability of the bus system was noted on slide 1, but the frequency, how 20 minutes is really not feasible to get to where you need to go. We'd like to see it 50 minutes or less. We'd also like to see bus rapid transit, and bus safety also came up in the general state of the bus system, whether lack of shade structures or benches at bus stops. Pedestrian safety was a big one, traffic calming. A lot of interactions between pedestrians and vehicles. So, measures to implement traffic calming measures to keep pedestrians safe. We'd like to see more encouragement of public transit use, and maybe more advertisements of how different age groups and demographics can use the bus. And then a big one was transit improvement projects should be more holistic in their view, take into cultural and natural aspects, not just be looked at as an engineering project, but really take into account surrounding cultural area. And then neighborhood connectivity with transportation and an improved density. Then big ideas were more density along major streets and routes, light rail extension from the Tucson Mall to the airport, and then even further from Tucson to Phoenix, like traffic calming measures. A big one was using empty parking lots, and like to see uses for empty parking lots throughout the town with density. Underground 10 came up, and then again, improving the overall bus system, bus rapid transit was a big theme. And then designing streets, not just for cars and moving cars through an area, but allow for more, placemaking with our street infrastructure.
Thanks, Nathan, and thanks to the Transportation Mobility Group. Going to Laura and Fafs for policy and governance. Quickly, now I have like 2 minutes I need after this, so.
Okay, I'll be quick.
Thanks, Fafs.
We had a high level of discussions on ours, and so I'm just going to summarize, but I heard a need for better communication from PDSD in particular, development assistance for people with a variety of levels of experience and knowledge. One idea was an ombudsman or advocate for non-experts. There were lots of examples of how silos lead to redundant care and ineffective care in our system. There were a range of ideas on election reform. And I heard a need for intentional soliciting of business and developer input in initiatives. Also, a need across the board, a need for policies that create greater density, but also looking to address displacement. Those things somewhat in tension in the comments. And then finally, I heard an appreciation for open and inclusive planning processes at the city, especially including this effort.
Thank you, Fafs, and thank you to the policy and governance folks. So we're going to, I want to say, Jen, I'm seeing your comments in the chat, and the facilitators whose groups those are referenced to, please include those into sticky notes onto the Jamboards. Ian, can you please share the slide, and then Elizabeth, we will answer your question right now. So first, want to say thank you so much for spending part of your Tuesday morning with us. I know many of you have so much more to share beyond what you were able to share, not only just in the topics you were in, but also other topics that you didn't get into. So please take the survey, our phase 1 survey. That's currently live on our website. You can access that through that QR code right there. And then Maria is also going to drop that into the chat. That's that second link there. You can also access the Jamboard to kind of look back, see what other people are talking about, add circles for any things you agree with, add stickies, all of that. We will kind of be gathering all of that information tomorrow. And the phase 1 survey will close in mid-April, so you have plenty of time. Please do share. Thanks, Alexa, for sharing. And we will kind of gather all of our feedback that we're hearing through the Jamboards by the end of this week. Other ways to get involved or share more information, we've got 5 more workshops. 4 of those are in person, and 1 of those is an evening 1-hour Zoom call. All of those times are on the website as well. Take the survey, subscribe to our newsletter, or join a working group. More information on working groups will be coming at the end of this month. You can email Plan Tucson at tucsonaz.gov directly if you're interested, or if you haven't taken the survey yet, there is a question on there. If you're interested in doing a working group, please do select yes and add your contact information there. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I will stay on the call for another 15 minutes or so. If you have thoughts about this event itself, we have an event evaluation as well. Please share if you have any thoughts. You can also hang on the line and let me know just after this closes. So thank you again so much for spending 2 hours with us. I'm so grateful for all of your comments and really excited to kind of delve into those details with the facilitators here and also the rest of the team that we've got here supporting Plan Tucson. Have a lovely rest of your Wednesday and rest of the week. Thank you.
Can I make a comment, please?
Yeah, please.
So just having listened to this last section, I feel like there's probably a disconnect between the business community and the environmental community, that wants things like complete streets, green infrastructure and stuff like that, that there needs to be a more in-depth conversation between the environmentalists and the businesses, with the city, moderating or, whatever. Because like you can't really, they have different concerns than us that we're not even aware of. And
Sure.
maybe we could work together for some kind of compromises.
Yeah, I see your comment in the chat, and I think that's a really good idea, especially after hearing some of the results of that share out from the different conversation groups. So thank you for that.
And as far as today's thing, I think it was really, useful. I enjoyed doing that method with the sticky notes.
Oh, good.
But yeah, that we did get rushed out of it before being able to have a conversation about it. And some of the things like, for instance, when he said it was interesting about the trash cans at the bus stops, that needs further explanation because so I walk from, the bus stops and I see trash all along the street, and the Sonoran Institute said that trash is ending up in our rivers, and every weekend these poor people are going and getting the trash out of the weekend, it just goes back again because our streets are essentially rivers. So that kind of thing you can't say on a sticky note.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am not too thrilled at the way that Zoom decided to close us all out that early. And agree that the value of doing the stickies lies in that conversation you can have right after that time frame ends. So I think we'll be doing some playing around on our end to make sure we know what rules and what clicks are the right ones to do so Zoom doesn't make choices for us again.
And I have a question. So a lot of these things, there's a lot of great suggestions. And I don't know if like Plan Tucson is the place to put these suggestions. Will these suggestions be made to the mayor and city council?
I think we're part of our like method of going through all of the comments and all of the ideas is to sort out who kind of this might belong to if it's not a Plan Tucson type item, and then give those to the correct entities. So if that's within city of Tucson government, then we give that to that department or the mayor and council or the manager's office. If it's more appropriate for a community partner, then we also let our partners know.
That's good to hear.
Thank you for coming.